Story 1. The Man Who Never Used the Door. It was 2:13 a.m. when my phone rang. I remember the exact time because I checked the clock twice, half asleep, trying to understand who would be calling me that late. The caller ID said Mark, gym manager. That alone made my stomach tighten. Mark never called employees in the middle of the night unless something had gone wrong at the gym. I answered the phone, my voice still thick with sleep. Hello? For a few seconds, there was nothing but faint static on the line. Then Mark spoke. Ryan, are you awake? I sat up in bed. Yeah, what's going on? Mark didn't answer immediately. Instead, he said something that instantly made the room feel colder. Are you near the gym right now? I rubbed my eyes. Yeah, why? Another pause. Then he said quietly, I need you to go check something. That woke me up completely. What happened? Mark exhaled slowly. There's someone inside the building. At first, that didn't sound strange. The gym was open 24 hours a day, and overnight members came in all the time. Truck drivers, hospital workers, night shift security guards. But something about the way Mark said it felt wrong. So what's the problem? I asked. I didn't let him in. I frowned. What do you mean? I've been watching the security cameras from home, Mark said, and there's a guy on the weight floor. So I checked the entry logs. My stomach tightened. No one scanned a membership card. I stared at the dark ceiling of my apartment. That's impossible. That's what I thought too. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Mark said something that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. The doors never opened. The gym was only 5 minutes from my apartment, so 20 minutes later I was pulling into the parking lot. The first thing I noticed was how empty it was. The lot stretched out under the pale glow of streetlights, completely deserted. Not a single car. If someone was inside the gym, they hadn't driven there. I sat in my car for a moment, staring at the building. The neon "Open 24 Hours" sign flickered faintly in the window. Inside, the lights were still on. Everything looked normal. My phone buzzed. Mark again. You there? He asked. Yeah. Do you see anyone? I leaned forward and looked through the glass doors. Rows of machines stretched across the gym floor. But from this angle, I couldn't see the weight section clearly. Not from here. Just go inside and check, Mark said. Easy for him to say. I stepped out of the car. The night air felt colder than it should have. The automatic doors slid open as I approached, releasing that familiar smell of rubber mats and disinfectant. Inside, the gym was silent. Too silent. Normally, the speakers played soft music overnight, but tonight there was nothing. Just the low hum of fluorescent lights. Hello? I called. My voice echoed across the empty room. For a moment, nothing happened. Then I heard it. Clank. Metal hitting metal. Followed by the slow creak of weight plates moving. The sound came from the far side of the building. The leg press area. I walked toward it slowly. Each step echoed across the floor. The deeper I went into the gym, the darker it felt. Not because the lights were off, but because large sections of the building were hidden behind mirrors in equipment rows. Then I turned the corner, and I saw him. A tall man wearing a gray hoodie sat at the leg press machine, pushing the weight up and down slowly. Up, down, up, down. The plates clinked quietly with each movement. For a few seconds, I just stood there, watching him. Something about the way he moved felt strange. Most people struggled when lifting heavy weights. Their muscles trembled, their breathing grew louder. But this guy looked completely calm, almost relaxed, like he had been doing the same motion for hours. I cleared my throat. Hey man. The machine kept moving. Up, down. Gym's closing early tonight. No response. Up, down. Sir? The weight suddenly slammed down with a loud clang. The man stopped moving. Slowly. Story 2. The treadmill that turned on by itself. The treadmill started running at 3:04 a.m. No one touched it. No one was even near it, but the belt suddenly began to move. At first, slowly, then faster, until it reached a full running speed. And the worst part? The power cord was unplugged. I know how insane that sounds, but I saw it happen. I was the overnight janitor at Iron Pulse Fitness, a gym that stayed open 24 hours a day. Most nights were quiet, boring, honestly. My job was simple. Mop the floors, wipe down machines, empty trash cans, and make sure nothing looked broken before the morning staff arrived. The building was massive. Rows of treadmills lined one wall. Weight machines filled the center. Free weights and squat racks sat in the far corner under bright lights and mirrors. At night, the place felt different. During the day, it was loud, music blasting, people talking, weights clanking. But after midnight, the gym felt hollow, like a giant empty warehouse. Every sound echoed, every shadow seemed deeper. Most nights I worked alone. Occasionally a member would wander in for a late workout, but by 3 a.m. the place was usually empty. That night was no different, or at least I thought it wasn't. I was mopping near the stretching mats when I heard the first beep. It was the sound treadmills make when someone presses the start button. I looked up. The treadmill at the far end of the row had powered on. The display screen glowed blue. The belt began moving slowly, 3 miles per hour. I frowned. Someone must have walked up without me noticing. But when I looked closer, there was no one there. The treadmill was running by itself. I walked over and pressed the stop button. The belt slowed and stopped. Glitch, I muttered. These machines were old. They malfunctioned sometimes. I unplugged the power cord just to be safe. Then I went back to mopping. About 10 seconds later, beep, the treadmill started again. I turned around slowly. The belt was moving, 3 miles per hour, then 5, then 7. My stomach tightened. That's not funny, I said aloud. The gym was empty, or at least it looked empty. I walked back to the machine. The cord was still unplugged, completely, lying on the floor beside the wall outlet, and yet the treadmill was still running. A cold feeling crept into my chest. I reached out and pressed the stop button again. Nothing happened. The machine kept accelerating, 8 miles per hour, 10, 12. The belt spun so fast it blurred. Then something happened that I still struggle to explain. A footprint appeared on the moving belt. A wet footprint, like someone with soaked shoes had stepped onto the treadmill. But there was no one there. Another footprint appeared, then another. Step, step, step. My throat went dry. The treadmill kept spinning, and the footprints kept forming, like someone invisible was running hard. I stumbled backward. The machine suddenly stopped. The belt jerked to a halt, and the wet footprints continued forward, stepping off the treadmill onto the gym floor, right in front of me. Step, step, step. The prints moved across the tile, heading deeper into the gym, and there was still no one there. I should have left right then. I should have grabbed my keys and walked out of that building. But curiosity can be a dangerous thing. Instead, I followed the footprints. They led past the rowing machines, past the elliptical trainers, across the weight floor. Each step appeared slowly, like an invisible person walking through puddles. And the prints were fresh, wet, shining under the fluorescent lights. The trail ended at the locker room hallway, the same hallway where the lights always flickered, the same hallway where the cameras sometimes glitched. The prints stopped right at the doorway, like whoever made them had stepped inside. I stood there for a moment listening. The locker room was silent. No running water, no locker slamming, no footsteps, just silence. But then I heard breathing, slow, heavy breathing, coming from inside the locker room. Story 3. The membership that shouldn't exist. The gym computer logged the membership at 2:51 a.m. I know the exact time because I stared at the number on the screen for almost a full minute, trying to understand how it was even possible. The notification appeared with a quiet beep that echoed across the empty lobby. Member check-in, Daniel Harper. At first, I didn't think anything about it. Overnight shifts at the gym were usually boring. Sometimes a few late-night regulars would come in to lift weights, but most nights it was just me, the glowing computer screen, and the low hum of fluorescent lights. But something about that name felt familiar. Not in the normal way, in the uncomfortable way where your brain recognizes something before you remember why. Outside, the glass doors slid open with a mechanical hiss. A man stepped inside. He didn't scan a card. He didn't say hello. He just walked past the front desk like he had done it 1,000 times before. He was tall, probably 6'4", thin but not weak-looking. He wore a gray hoodie and black sweatpants, and the hood covered most of his face. Normally, I would have stopped him, but something about the way he moved made me hesitate. His steps were slow and quiet, almost too quiet. He walked straight across the gym floor toward the free weight area without looking at me once. The doors behind him closed automatically. I looked back down at the computer. The check-in notification was still on the screen. Daniel Harper. The feeling of familiarity came back stronger this time. So I opened the membership database. Every member had a profile, contact information, payment records, entry logs. When I typed the name into the search bar, the result appeared instantly. One profile. I clicked it. The page loaded, and my stomach tightened. Across the top of the account was a red notice, membership status, closed. Below it was another line, reason, deceased. For a moment, I just stared at the screen. Then I looked at the date beneath it. Date of death, October 12th, 2022, 3 years ago. A cold feeling crept into my chest. I slowly turned my head toward the gym floor. The man in the gray hoodie was standing near the bench press rack now. He was lifting a barbell slowly. Up, down, up, down. The metal plates clinked quietly. Everything about the movement felt wrong. He wasn't breathing heavily. He wasn't straining. He just moved the weight with slow, mechanical precision, like someone repeating a motion they had practiced 1,000 times. I turned back to the computer. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe the account was outdated. Maybe someone else had the same name. But curiosity got the better of me. I opened a web browser and searched the name. The result appeared immediately. A local news article. The headline made my stomach drop. Local man dies in late-night gym accident. I clicked it. A photograph appeared at the top of the page, and the moment I saw the face in that photo, the air seemed to leave my lungs. Because the man in the picture was the same man lifting weights across the room. Same face, same eyes, same gray hoodie. The article said Daniel Harper had died during a workout, right here, in this building. According to the report, he had been lifting heavy weights late at night when the accident happened. The bar slipped. No one was around to help him. He wasn't discovered until the next morning. I looked up from the screen slowly. Daniel Harper was still lifting. Up, down, up, down. The metal barbell suddenly slammed back onto the rack with a loud metallic crack. He sat up slowly. Then he turned his head and looked directly at me.
Even from across the room, I could see his smile. It wasn't threatening, but it didn't feel friendly either. It felt like someone smiling at a private joke. I swallowed and stood up from the desk. My legs felt strangely heavy as I walked toward the weight area. The gym lights buzzed softly overhead. The building felt too quiet, like the air itself was holding its breath. When I got closer, I noticed something disturbing. The barbell he had been lifting was loaded with far more weight than I thought. 4 45-pound plates on each side, 400 pounds. No one lifted that casually, but Daniel Harper had. He stood up slowly as I approached. "Are you open all night?" he asked. His voice sounded hollow, like it echoed slightly, even though we were in the same room. "Yes," I said carefully. "That's good," he replied. I never finished my workout. Then he walked past me toward the squat rack. The temperature in the gym suddenly felt colder. I stood there for a moment watching him. Something about the situation made my skin crawl. So I walked back to the front desk. The computer beeped again. Another notification appeared. Member checkout, Daniel Harper. The time read 3:02 a.m., but when I looked up, he was still in the gym, still lifting. My heart began pounding. The system had logged him leaving the building, but he hadn't moved. The lights flickered once, then the security monitors on the desk switched feeds automatically. One of the cameras had triggered motion detection. The locker room hallway appeared on the screen. It showed the long, narrow corridor leading to the showers. The fluorescent lights flickered softly. The hallway was empty. Then something moved, a shadow, tall, too tall, sliding along the wall. But there was nothing there, just the shadow. I leaned closer to the monitor. The shadow moved slowly down the hallway, and then it stopped, right at the edge of the camera frame. Behind me, I heard the squat rack slam. I turned slowly. Daniel Harper was standing still now, looking directly at the front desk, looking directly at me. Even from across the room, I could see that same smile. And somehow I knew he had seen the shadow too. He started walking toward the desk. Each step echoed across the gym floor. The lights flickered again. For just a moment, every mirror in the building reflected something strange, something standing behind him, something taller, something that moved differently. But when the lights stabilized, the mirrors showed nothing unusual. Daniel Harper stopped at the desk. "I think I'm finished for tonight," he said quietly. The computer beeped again. I looked down at the screen. Membership expired permanently. When I looked up again, the lobby was empty. The doors had never opened, and Daniel Harper was gone. The security footage from that night still exists. At 3:17 a.m., the cameras recorded someone leaving the gym, walking straight through the locked doors, not opening them, walking through them. But the figure wasn't Daniel Harper. It was something standing directly behind him, something taller, something that had been there the entire time. And every night since then, at exactly 2:51 a.m., the check-in system logs the same notification. Member check-in, Daniel Harper. And somewhere inside the gym, the weight machines start moving by themselves.
Story 4. The Gym That Never Let Me Leave. It was 2:37 a.m. when I realized something was wrong. I had just finished wiping down the last row of treadmills and was heading toward the front desk when I noticed the lights flicker. Not the usual quick blink from a power surge, but a slow, deliberate dimming, like the building itself was breathing. The gym was empty, or at least I thought it was. I'd been working the night shift for months at Steel Core Fitness, a 24-hour gym in the heart of town. Most nights were uneventful. A few insomniacs, some truck drivers, and the occasional night shift nurse would come in. But tonight, it felt different. The overhead speakers were dead silent. No music, no humming of fluorescent lights. Even the faint hum of the ventilation system seemed muffled. Then I saw movement. At first, I thought it was a shadow, something flickering in the mirrored walls of the free weight area. I squinted. There was nothing there. I laughed nervously and rubbed my eyes. Maybe I was tired. But then a treadmill started on its own. 3 miles per hour, then 5, then 7. No one was on it. The power cord was unplugged. I froze. A cold feeling crawled up my spine. I approached cautiously. "Hello?" I called, my voice trembling slightly. Nothing. The treadmill accelerated to full speed. Suddenly, wet footprints appeared on the belt, forming as if someone invisible had been running. Step, step, step. The prints moved off the treadmill and across the gym floor, toward the locker rooms. I should have run, I knew it, but I followed them, drawn by some mix of fear and morbid curiosity. The locker room hallway stretched before me. Fluorescent lights flickered and buzzed softly. The air smelled faintly of bleach and metal. The prints stopped, but I heard breathing, slow, heavy, echoing. I stepped inside. Nothing. The showers weren't running. The lockers were all closed, yet the air felt wrong, stale, heavy, as if someone or something was waiting just beyond my perception. I turned to leave. The door wouldn't budge. I tugged, pushed, slammed my shoulder into it. Locked. Panicking, I ran back toward the gym floor. Everything looked normal, but it wasn't. The treadmills were running on their own. The dumbbells slowly lifted and dropped without anyone touching them. Mirrors reflected the room perfectly, but sometimes they didn't. I caught glimpses of a tall figure standing behind me, just out of frame. Each time I spun around, it vanished. I grabbed a phone from the front desk to call for help. No signal. Even the landline was dead. My stomach tightened. The realization hit me. I was trapped. I ran from machine to machine, searching for an exit. Each door I tried, emergency exits, staff doors, the main entrance, was locked tight. The automated doors refused to budge. The lights flickered again, and in that brief darkness, I saw him. A man in a gray hoodie standing in the center of the gym, tall, thin, pale-skinned, eyes empty. I didn't recognize him at first, but the moment he smiled, my blood ran cold. I'd seen him before, not here, not in the gym, but in the security footage. He had been recorded here months ago. The footage showed him walking through locked doors, lifting weights in the middle of the night, never leaving. I backed away, heart hammering. He raised a hand slowly, a gesture that was calm, deliberate, patient. And then the lights went out completely. Total darkness. The hum of the gym vanished. The air turned cold. My own breathing sounded deafening. I stumbled forward. Something brushed past me. Not solid, not quite air. A presence, watching, following. When the lights returned, briefly, I saw dozens of shadows moving in the mirrors. Figures in hoodies, faceless, pale, all standing still, watching me. The tall man was gone. The treadmill belt stopped. The weights lay still. I thought I was safe. Then I noticed the entry monitor blinking. Member check-in, Daniel Harper. That name sent chills down my spine. I knew that name. I had seen it in local news. A man who had died here, crushed under a barbell during a late-night workout. The timestamp? 2:51 a.m. Exactly the time I had entered the gym. I ran toward the main entrance again. The doors unlocked for a brief moment, then slammed shut in my face. I slammed my hands against the glass, screamed, tried everything. And then I noticed something terrifying. The mirrors weren't showing me. They were showing him. Daniel Harper, the man who should have been dead for years. He smiled. Slowly, he lifted a barbell. The plates were heavier than physics allowed. He lifted it easily, up, down, up, down. I backed away. The gym lights flickered again, and when they stabilized, I was alone. Too alone. But the computers and security cameras told a different story. Daniel Harper had just completed his workout, and somehow the cameras caught dozens of figures walking toward the doors. All tall, all pale, all smiling.
The doors opened, and I realized something that froze my blood. I was the last person trapped inside. No one else ever left. No one would. The lights flickered once more, and from somewhere deep in the building, I heard the sound of hundreds of treadmills turning on all at once. I ran. I don't know how long I ran. The doors never opened again that night, and the next morning, the security footage showed me walking into the gym alone. But in the far corner of the footage, I saw dozens of shadows moving among the machines, watching, waiting. And somewhere, Daniel Harper smiled. Subscribe for more chilling tales.